Jiho pushed his cleaning cart down the long hallway. The wheels made a squeaking sound that echoed off the tall walls. Pictures of alien worlds hung on both sides, each one showing a planet that no longer existed. He did not look at them anymore. After 3 years of working here, he had seen them too many times. The restricted archive wing was always cold. The Valther kept it that way to protect the old things they had collected. Jiho wore his thin work uniform and wished he had brought a jacket. But custodians were not allowed to change their uniforms. Rules were rules. He reached Vault 7 and pressed his badge against the door. The scanner beeped twice. A red light blinked. Access denied. That was strange. His badge should work on all the vaults in this wing. He tried again. The same red light. The same cold beep. Jiho pulled out his handheld device and checked the maintenance alert. It said Vault 7 had a climate control failure. The temperature inside was rising. If it got too hot, the artifacts would be damaged. He needed to get inside and fix it. He called his supervisor. The comm rang 4 times before a bored Valther voice answered. "What is the problem, human?" "My badge does not work on Vault 7. The alert says the climate system is broken." There was a pause. Jiho heard the clicking sound of claws on a keyboard. "That vault is locked by order of the High Command. No one goes in. But the temperature... I will send someone to fix it. Go back to your normal duties." The comm went dead. Jiho stood in front of the door for a moment. This did not make sense. Why would they lock a vault and then send a maintenance alert? Why not just send their own technicians? He looked down the empty hallway. No cameras pointed at this section. The Valther did not think anyone would try to steal from the restricted wing. Who would be stupid enough to try? Jiho reached into his cart and pulled out a small metal tool. He had found it in the waste bins months ago. It looked like something the Valther technicians used. He had kept it, because keeping things was a human habit. His mother had taught him that, back before Earth fell. He slid the tool into the gap beside the door panel. The metal was cold against his fingers. He twisted it slowly, carefully. There was a soft click. The red light turned yellow. Yellow meant the door thought he was a technician. Yellow meant he had maybe 30 seconds before the security system noticed. Jiho pulled the door open and stepped inside. It closed behind him with a heavy thud. The vault was smaller than the others. Only one room, with plain white walls. In the center stood a single display case. No labels, no information plaques. Just the case and what was inside it. A book. Jiho walked closer. The temperature was definitely wrong. Sweat formed on his forehead. The book inside the case looked old. Its cover made of some kind of dark leather. Gold letters were pressed into the front, but he could not read the language. Why would the Valther lock up a single book? The museum had thousands of books from dead civilizations. They filled entire rooms. He looked around for the climate control panel. It should be on the wall somewhere. But as he searched, something else caught his eye. Behind the display case, carved into the white wall, was a symbol. A circle with lines coming out from the center. He knew that symbol. Every human knew it. It was the mark of Earth. The symbol of his home world. Jiho's hand started to shake. He walked around the display case and touched the wall. The carving was recent. The edges were still sharp. Someone had put this here not long ago. He looked back at the book in the case. The gold letters on the cover suddenly seemed familiar. Even though he could not read them, he had seen writing like this before. In pictures. In old files his mother had shown him when he was young. This was a human book. But that was impossible. The Valther had destroyed everything from Earth. They had burned the libraries and crushed the cities. They said humans had kept no records worth saving. They said human civilization had been primitive and worthless. They had lied. The door behind him started beeping. Someone was trying to open it from the outside. Jiho spun around, his heart beating fast. He had maybe seconds before they came in. He looked at the display case. It had a simple lock, the kind he could open with his tool. He could take the book. He could hide it in his cart under the cleaning supplies. No one ever checked his cart. But if they caught him, they would kill him. The Valther did not give second chances to thieves. The beeping got louder, faster. Jiho made his choice. He jammed the tool into the case lock and twisted hard. The case opened. He grabbed the book and shoved it under his shirt. The leather was warm against the skin. The door started to open. Gio's head hurt. Not a normal hurt, but something deeper. It felt like his brain was too full, like someone had poured too much water into a small cup. Images flashed behind his eyes, even when he tried to keep them closed. Strange places, strange machines. People who looked like him but wore clothes he had never seen before. The restraints on his wrists burned. They were made to keep prisoners still, to stop them from moving even a finger. But Gio did not want to move. He wanted to understand what was happening to him. The Valther scientists spoke in their own language. Gio had learned some of it over the years, enough to understand simple commands. But now he understood every word. Not just the words, but the meaning behind them, the fear in their voices. The human's brain activity is off the charts, one scientist said. She had green scales and 3 eyes. This is not possible for their species. Should we terminate him? Another asked. This one was older, with scars across his face. No, the Emperor wants answers first. Through the glass window, Gio saw Emperor Vexer. The ruler of the Valther Empire stood with his arms crossed, his golden armor reflecting the bright lights of the medical room. His face showed anger, but also something else. Fear. Gio tried to remember what had happened. He had taken the book from the vault. The door had opened. Guards had rushed in. He had expected them to shoot him, to end it quickly. But instead, one of the guards had touched the book to take it from him. The guard had screamed. His body had fallen to the ground, smoke rising from his scales. The book had fallen too, landing against Gio's hand. That was when the vision started. He had seen Earth, not the dead planet the Valther had left behind, but Earth as it had been 3,000 years ago. Cities that reached into space, oceans filled with floating gardens, humans who moved between planets as easily as walking between rooms. But they had not stayed. The vision showed him why. Ancient humans had learned to break free from their bodies. They had found a way to exist as pure thought, as energy that could move through dimensions normal beings could not see. They had become something more than flesh and bone. The younger species of the galaxy had feared them. They had formed alliances, built weapons, prepared for war. They thought the humans would try to rule them, to control them like masters control slaves. But the humans had chosen differently. They had left, all of them. Billions of humans had simply abandoned their physical forms and moved into a higher plane of existence. They had left their cities empty, their technology behind, their books and art for anyone who wanted them. The Valther had come later. They had found Earth abandoned and claimed it as their own. They had told everyone that humans had been primitive, that they had destroyed themselves with their own weapons. It was a lie that made the Valther seem strong, seem like the natural rulers of the galaxy. And they had hidden the truth in places like Vault 7. Human. The voice came through a speaker in the ceiling. Emperor Vexer's voice. You have accessed something that was not meant for your kind. That knowledge will destroy you. Gio opened his eyes. The pain in his head was getting worse, but he could still think. He could still speak. You knew, he said. His voice sounded strange to his own ears. Deeper, stronger. You knew what humans really were. The scientists stepped back from their equipment. The Emperor's face appeared on a screen above Gio's bed. We protected the galaxy from your kind, Vexer said. Ancient humans were dangerous. They could have enslaved us all. We made sure no one would worship them. No one would try to follow their path. They left because they did not want to rule, Gio said. The words came easily now, as if someone else was speaking through him. They left because they had evolved beyond the need for power. Lies, Vexer hissed. They left because they were cowards. They ran away when they saw we were coming for them. More images filled Gio's mind. He saw the truth of it now. The ancient humans had not run from the Valther. They had barely noticed them. To beings who could exist in higher dimensions, physical empires were like toys, children playing at war. But they had left something behind, a failsafe, a way to help any humans who might remain in the physical world after they left. The book. It was not really a book. It was a key. a tool designed to unlock the potential that still existed in human DNA. Any human who touched it would begin the transformation. They would start to remember what their ancestors had been, what they could become again. The transformation cannot be stopped, one of the scientists said. She sounded frightened. His body is changing at the cellular level. Then kill him before it completes, the Emperor ordered. The restraints grew hotter. Jiho felt energy building around him, the kind of energy that could burn a body to ash in seconds. But something inside him pushed back. The knowledge from the book showed him how. He closed his eyes and thought about the higher dimensions he had seen in the visions, places where physical weapons meant nothing, where thought itself was power. The restraints sparked. Then they broke. Jiho sat up on the medical bed. The scientists ran for the door. Alarms started screaming throughout the building. The tunnel smelled like wet stone and rust. Jiho ran behind Mina, his feet splashing through puddles he could not see in the darkness. Behind them, he heard the heavy boots of Valther's soldiers and the clicking of their weapons charging. How much further? Jiho gasped. His body still felt strange from the transformation. Stronger, but different, like it did not quite fit him anymore. 2 more turns, Mina said. She had found him 3 days ago, after he escaped from the medical facility. She said she felt his awakening, felt it like a wave of heat across her mind. There were other humans, she had told him, humans who had been hiding for generations. The tunnel split into 3 paths. Mina took the middle one, without slowing down. Jiho followed. Behind them, the soldiers shouted to each other. They were getting closer. "They will catch us," Jiho said. "No, they will not. We are almost there." Above ground, Jiho knew chaos was spreading through the city. 3 days ago, something had appeared in the sky over the capital planet. A probe, ancient and massive. It hung in orbit like a silver moon. It had been broadcasting a message on every frequency, in every language known to the galaxy. The message was simple. Humanity had not been primitive. Humanity had not destroyed itself. Humanity had been the first intelligent species in this region of space. They had built the first cities, the first ships, the first peaceful alliances. Every species that came after had learned from human guidance, whether they remembered it or not. The Valther Empire had built itself on a lie. Mina stopped at a heavy metal door set into the tunnel wall. She pressed her hand against it and whispered something too quiet for Jiho to hear. The door opened with a grinding sound. Light spilled out. Warm light, yellow like sunlight. Jiho stepped through and stopped. He was in a huge underground space. The ceiling stretched high above, held up by stone pillars carved with symbols he recognized from the book. From Earth, makeshift homes filled the space, built from salvaged materials and old technology. And everywhere there were people. Humans. Dozens of them. Maybe more than 100. Men and women and children, all looking at him with wide eyes. Jiho had thought he was one of 300 humans left in the galaxy. He had been wrong. An old woman walked toward him. Her hair was white and her face had deep lines, but she moved with steady steps. She wore simple clothes, but around her neck hung a pendant with Earth symbol on it. "Jiho," she said. Her voice was soft. "Kind. We felt it when you touched the key. We all felt it." "The key?" Jiho asked. "The book. That is what we call them. Keys to what we were, what we can be again." She reached out and took his hand. Her skin was warm. "My name is Sora. I am the eldest here. We have been waiting a long time for this." "Waiting for what?" "For the awakening to begin again, for the probe to return." Jiho looked around at the other faces. They were all watching him. Some looked hopeful. Some looked afraid. "I do not understand," he said. "The probe, where did it come from?" Sora led him deeper into the colony. The other humans made space for them to pass. She brought him to a wall where images were projected from an old device. The images showed space, stars, and the silver probe hanging in orbit. "Our ancestors left 3,000 years ago," Sora explained. "But they did not abandon us completely. They knew some humans might choose to stay behind in physical form. So they left the keys, and they left the probe." What does it do? It watches. It waits. When enough keys activate, when enough humans begin to remember what we were, the probe wakes up. It sends out the truth about humanity to every world in the galaxy. It shows everyone what the Valther tried to hide. Mina joined them at the wall. The Empire is falling apart, she said. Other species are questioning everything now. Some are rebelling. The Valther cannot fight everyone at once. Jiho watched the images change. The probe was doing more than just broadcasting a message. It was activating other artifacts across the galaxy. Old human technology on dead worlds, buried in ruins, hidden in forgotten places. Each artifact lit up like a star, sending out its own signal. There are more keys? Geo asked. Hundreds, Sora said, scattered across dozens of worlds. Most have never been found. But now the probe is calling to them, showing people where to look. More humans will touch them. More will awaken. And then what happens? The old woman smiled. It was a sad smile. That depends on what we choose. The keys offer us a choice. We can follow the path our ancestors took. We can transform, evolve, leave this physical existence behind. Or we can stay. We can rebuild. We can show the galaxy what humanity was meant to be. One of the children, a small girl with dark hair, walked up to Jiho. She held out her hand. In her palm was a small piece of metal shaped like Earth symbol. I made this, she said, for you, because you were brave. Jiho took the metal piece. It was warm from her hand. He looked around at all the faces watching him. These people had lived in hiding their whole lives. They had survived when everyone said their species was dead. They had kept the truth alive in secret. The Valther will come here, he said. They will find this place. Yes, Sora agreed. They will try, but we are not alone anymore. The probe is showing other species the truth. Human settlements on other worlds are coming out of hiding. We are not 300 anymore. We are thousands, maybe tens of thousands. The ground shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. The soldiers had found the door. We need to move deeper, Mina said. There are other tunnels, other colonies connected to this one. Sora squeezed Jiho's hand one more time. The awakening has begun, she said. Nothing can stop it now. The Valther fleet filled the space around the capital planet. Thousands of warships, each one bristling with weapons. Admiral Kress stood on the bridge of the flagship and stared at the silver probe through the view screen. Fire everything, he commanded. The fleet obeyed. Energy beams, missiles, plasma cannons. Every weapon the Empire had ever built lit up the darkness of space. They all struck the probe at once. And nothing happened. The weapons simply disappeared when they touched the probe's surface, absorbed like water into sand. The probe did not move. It did not even shake. Then it pulsed. A single wave of light spread out from the probe in all directions. When the wave touched the warships, their lights went out. Their engines stopped. Their weapons went silent. Thousands of ships hung dead in space, floating like leaves on a pond. Admiral Kress grabbed his command chair as the gravity failed. He and his crew began to drift in the darkness. Emergency lights flickered on, casting red shadows across the bridge. What did it do? Someone shouted. Everything is offline, another crew member said. Her voice shook. Power, weapons, communications. Everything. On the view screen, something new appeared. A crack in space itself, like reality was tearing open. Light poured through the crack. Not normal light. This light moved like it was alive, changing colors, forming shapes and then unforming them. Beings emerged from the light. They were not solid, not quite energy either. They looked like people, but people made of pure thought, wearing light-like clothes. Some appeared human. Some appeared as other species. Some shifted between forms, as if they could not decide what shape to take. The transcended had returned. Far below, in the underground colony, Jiho felt the arrival like thunder in his chest. The pendant Sora had given him grew hot against the skin. He looked at Mina. They are here, he said. Who? The ones who left. The ancient humans who transcended. Sora joined them, her face pale. After 3,000 years. They came back. We have to go up there, Geo said. He did not know how he knew this, but he did. The knowledge from the key was still growing inside him, showing him things he should not understand but somehow did. You will die, Mina said. The Valther will kill you the moment you reach the surface. No, they will not. Not anymore. Geo walked toward the colony's exit. The other humans parted to let him pass. Some reached out to touch his hand as he went by, as if they wanted to share in whatever was happening to him. He climbed the old stairs that led to the surface. Each step felt lighter than the last. By the time he reached the top, his feet barely touched the ground. Light was leaking from his skin now, the same strange light that poured from the rift in space. He emerged into the capital city. Buildings burned around him. Valther soldiers ran in panic through the streets. Above, the sky had torn open, and beings of light descended like falling stars. One of the beings landed in front of Jiho. It took a shape that looked almost human. An old man with kind eyes. Child of Earth, the being said. Its voice sounded like music and thunder at the same time. Will you speak for us? I do not understand, Jiho said. We cannot exist fully in this dimension anymore. We need someone who still has a physical form. Someone who can carry our words to those who still think in solid terms. Will you be our voice? Jiho looked at the being. He thought about everything the Valther had taken from humanity, the lies they had told, the people they had killed. He thought about the colony below, the humans who had lived in fear their whole lives. Yes, he said. The being touched Jiho's forehead. Light poured into him. His body lifted off the ground, floating upward toward the rift in the sky. He rose higher and higher until he hung in space itself, surrounded by the transcended beings in the dead Valther fleet. When he spoke, his voice carried across every frequency, reached every world, touched every mind in the galaxy. We left you peace, he said, and the words were not his own, but came from the beings around him. You chose tyranny. We left you knowledge. You chose ignorance. Why should we return? On the surface, Emperor Vexer stood in his palace throne room. He was not watching the sky. He was in the vault below the palace, the secret vault where the Valther kept their most dangerous treasures. He stood before a human artifact, a monolith carved from black stone, covered in symbols that hurt to look at. His scientists had studied it for centuries, trying to understand its power. They had never been able to activate it. If they want to judge us, Vexer hissed, then I will show them what we have learned from their precious technology. He pressed his hand against the monolith and poured every bit of strength into it. The artifact had been made to respond to consciousness, to thought itself. He would force it to wake up. He would turn humanity's own weapon against them. The monolith began to crack. Your Majesty, one of his advisors said, the readings are unstable. You should stop. No, I will not kneel to ghosts. The cracks spread across the monolith's surface. Light leaked through them. Not the gentle light of the transcended beings, but harsh light, angry light. 3,000 years of stored energy that had nowhere to go. Run, the advisor whispered. The monolith shattered. The explosion consumed the palace. In an instant, it spread through the city, turning stone to ash and metal to vapor. From orbit, the transcended beings in Jiho watched as a mushroom cloud rose from where the Emperor had stood. The explosion was so bright it left spots in the eyes of everyone who saw it. Jiho floated in space, his body still glowing with borrowed power. The transcended beings gathered around him, their forms flickering like candle flames. He tried to use what he did not understand. One of them said, "Many will make the same mistake." Another added, "What happens now?" Jiho asked. The beings looked at each other, communicating in ways he could not fully perceive. "That depends on you," the old man said. "On all of you, the humans who remained. What will you do with the truth we have revealed?" The Valther Empire died quietly. There was no great final battle, no heroic last stand. The conquered worlds simply stopped listening. On Kelver 3, the governor woke to find his palace empty. His guards had left. His advisors had left. Even the cleaning staff had walked away. Outside, the people were tearing down statues of Valther heroes and raising flags of their own making. On Thessa Prime, the military garrison received orders to crush a rebellion. The soldiers read the orders and set down their weapons. They walked out of their barracks and went home. On 100 worlds, the same thing happened. Without the threat of the fleet, without the promise of military power, the Empire had nothing. It dissolved like sugar in water, sweet and complete, in his underground bunker beneath the ruined palace. Emperor Vexor sat alone in the dark. The explosion had destroyed everything above ground. The city was gone. Most of his government was gone. He had survived only because he had been deep enough when the monolith shattered. His advisors had abandoned him. His generals had fled to other worlds. He was alone with emergency lights and the sound of his own breathing. The door to his bunker opened. Light filled the space. Not harsh light, but soft and warm. 3 figures entered. They were made of light, shaped like people but not quite solid. The transcended. Vexor tried to stand to show strength, but his legs would not hold him. He slumped back into his chair. "Have you come to kill me?" he asked. "No," one of them said. The voice was gentle. "Female, we do not kill. We never have." "Then why are you here?" "To show you the truth. To let you see what really happened 3,000 years ago." The being reached out and touched Vexor's forehead. Images flooded his mind. He saw Earth as it had been. Beautiful. Peaceful. Humans lived in harmony with their world, with each other. They had built cities that reached the stars, but they had not built weapons. They had not conquered. They had helped. He saw humans meeting other species for the first time. Young species, primitive and afraid. The humans had taught them. Shared technology. Shared knowledge. Asked for nothing in return. He saw the moment when humans discovered transcendence. The ability to leave physical form behind. To exist as pure thought. It was not a weapon. It was evolution. A choice. And he saw the discussion that followed. The great debate that lasted years. Should they stay and guide the younger species? Or should they leave and let them grow on their own? They chose to leave. Not out of fear. Not out of weakness. They left because they believed the younger species deserved to make their own choices. To succeed or fail by their own efforts. They left peacefully. All of them. Billions of humans simply stepped out of physical reality and moved into something higher. The images faded. Vexor opened his eyes. Tears ran down his scaled face. "We built everything on a lie," he whispered. "Everything." "Yes," the being said. "I told myself we were protecting the galaxy, that humans were dangerous, that we were heroes." His voice broke. "But we were thieves. We stole their worlds and their history. We killed the humans who remained. We told everyone they were nothing." The being said nothing. They simply stood and watched him cry. When Vexor looked up again, his face had changed. He looked older, tired, like the weight of centuries had fallen on him all at once. "What happens to me now?" he asked. "That is not for us to decide. Your own people will judge you. The species you conquered will judge you. We only wanted you to know the truth before that judgment comes." The beings faded away, leaving Vexor alone in the dark again. Above ground, on the world that had been the capital of the Empire, representatives from dozens of species gathered. They met in a temporary structure built from salvaged materials. The palace was gone. The government buildings were gone. So they built something new. Mina stood at a table with other Valthar. Not all Valthar had supported the Empire. Many had worked in secret to undermine it, to help the conquered worlds, to protect humans when they found them. These Valthar spoke for their people now. "We carry the weight of our crimes," Mina said to the assembly. "We do not ask for forgiveness. We ask only for the chance to make things right." Sora stood nearby. The old human woman had been chosen to speak for her species. Around her sat other humans who had come out of hiding. There were more than anyone had thought. Thousands on dozens of worlds. "Humanity has no desire for revenge," Sora said. "We only want to live freely. To remember who we were. To choose who we will become." Representatives from other species spoke. The Kelver, the Thessan, the Rylon. Species that had been silent for generations found their voices. They talked for days. They argued. They cried. but they talked as equals. No one ruled. No one commanded. They were building something the galaxy had not seen in a long time. A true council. A true democracy. Jiho watched from a distance. He no longer needed to stand on solid ground. His body floated a few inches above the floor, glowing faintly. He was caught between two worlds now. Not quite physical. Not quite transcended. The being who looked like an old man appeared beside him. "You have done well," the being said. "I did not do anything. I just held the book." "You made a choice. That is always something." Jiho looked at the assembly, at Mina and Sora working together, at species who had been enemies learning to talk, at something new being born from the ashes of something old. "What happens to me now?" he asked. "That is your choice. You can remain as you are, a bridge between the physical and the transcended, a guide for those who seek to understand both worlds. Or you can come with us, complete the transformation, leave this existence behind and join us in the higher dimensions. If I stay, will I be alone? No, there will be others. Humans who touch the keys will transform as you did. You can teach them, help them, show them what it means to exist in both worlds. And if I go, you will know peace, understanding. You will exist beyond pain, beyond loss. But you will leave this world behind forever. You will leave them behind." The being gestured toward the assembly, toward Mina and Sora and all the others. Geo floated silently for a long time. He thought about the book in the vault, about running through tunnels, about the colony underground, about all the humans who had survived when everyone said they were extinct. "I want to stay," he said. The being smiled. "We thought you would. You are very human, Jiho, even now, especially now." "What does that mean?" "It means you choose connection over transcendence, community over peace. That is what humanity always was. That is why we left the keys behind. So some of you could choose to stay." The being began to fade. "Will you come back?" Geo asked. "We are always here, just beyond the edge of what you can see, watching, waiting, hoping you will choose wisely." Then the being was gone. The rift in space closed. The transcended returned to their higher dimension, leaving the physical world behind once more. Jiho descended to the ground. His feet touched solid floor. He walked toward the assembly and took a seat beside Sora. The old woman smiled at him. "Decided to stay?" "Yes." "Good. We need you here." The council continued its work. Outside, across the galaxy, humans emerged from hiding, keys activated on forgotten worlds.